4 high schools, 4 middle schools and 2 primary schools, besides a number of health centers. And I wish them all the success, and may Allah grant them more success and more resources, besides more willpower to do more in this direction. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Nare Takbir! Nare Takbir! Islam Ahmadiyat! Islam Ahmadiyat! Jalsa Silana di Gambia! Nare Takbir!
Mbokk mi doon wax léegi nit ñoo xam ne dañu dajaloo ci xelaat ak liggéey gëstu la xam ne Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat yi mbooloo la moo xam ne doomu aadama yëpp benn lañu ñëpp njëndeefu yàlla lañ bokk na ci ñoo xam ne ñu ngi jógee fii ba Pakistan ak yeneen yi réew ak waa doomi réew ñoo xam ne ñoom yëpp lañ takku bokk benn pas-pas ak doomu aadama yi la njëriñ bindeefu yàlla yi. kon maa ngi ñaan yàlla subhanahu wa taala mu may leen kàttan may leen wér te may leen man-man itam ngir continuer wala sabal liggéey bu rafet boobu nga xam ne ñu ngi koy def maa ngi leen di sant di leen gërëm. musidɓe kala noɗo joni woni docteur Ravindra mo ganduɗa kam woni CEO walla jeesojo international commercial fund o yimbo salminam jama o mbaɗi fewna ganduɗani ɓe gurni konngol biyangol ngol e yimna hen golle moƴƴe ɗe gandane eɓe fuɗɗi ɓe mbaɗane wassalam.
Of many imams, of course, every one of them would like to say something.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وسلم. I first make some clarification before making the speech. I don't know how the information got to you, but I mean, I'm not an imam. Of course, my father was an imam. My brother too is the imam of the Bakunda, but I'm not even the deputy imam. I want to make that absolutely clear. I'm not also a scholar. I'm not also a religious leader. I'm a follower. I'm not pious, I'm just a sinner. But I do know that I do know two things about myself. I love men of God, and I love knowledge of Islam. And I suppose this is why God gave me this privilege. God gave me this opportunity to be able to address this important, auspicious Jalsa Salana, 37th edition of the Jalsa Salana. Having clarified that, I will say Assalamu alaikum, my dear Amir, and my dear brothers and sisters. I have had contacts with the promised Messiah since mid-1980s, say 1985. As I said, I love knowledge, and I read a lot. I read Islam, of course, under my father. I was opportune also to go to school, so I read English. So I read Islam from different perspectives. I used to read Maududi. I used to read Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab. But I also read the Promised Messiah's book. This is called The Philosophy of the Teachings of the Holy Quran. I understand it is a statement or address made by the holy founder of this Jamaat during a conference of religions organized in India to discuss on each, so that each one of them can bring forth proofs of the veracity of your own religion. And fortunately, this address, which was reduced into a book, I took the lead during the argument. That book was a turning point in my life.
Nare Takbir! Islam!
Ghulam Ahmad ki! Ghulam Ahmad ki! Nare Takbir!
The book the book which most of you may have read, is one of the most important books in Islamic history. Having read that book, I took interest in Ahmadiyya. I have friends who are Ahmadiyyas. One of, I don't want to call names, but I have one who works in the hospital. I have one who used to work under me. I have another one who was my deputy. And I know quite a number of them. Apart from that book, I read another book written by, I think, the Khalifa before this Khalifa, called In the Name of Islam. The book was that book is so pertinent, especially in teaching you about the Aqidah, about faith, about the misconceptions in Islam, that it also helped me to understand Islam from a different perspective. That same author who wrote that book wrote another book which I was privileged to read. It's a very voluminous book. I read it over a period. It's called Revelation and Rationality. It's a very powerful book because it covered almost all aspects of human life. The learned author covered all areas. Apart from that, my other contact with the Ahmadiyyas was through the MTA, the international television channel, which I watch regularly. And I am always privileged to watch and to hear and to listen to the Venerable Khalifa addressing khutbahs, addressing ceremonies, and I developed, as I said in the beginning, I love men of God. This led me to a dream of him. God is such that if He loves you, He must bring challenges to you, because He says so in the Quran. لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنْ أَمْوَالٍ. From time to time, God said, I will bring you challenges, which will bring you fear. It will bring you difficulty. So I was fortunate. I thank God that I was faced with enormous challenges some time ago in my life. It was a difficult challenge. During the challenge, of course, I prayed. My father is a good man. He's a man of God. And I know a lot of men of God, of course. And I prayed. And in the process, one day, I saw this Khalifa in the dream. I have a friend who's an Ahmadi. And we shared my challenge. He knows the whole story about the challenge. I saw the Khalifa and he told me that the letter you wrote to God, God has got your letter and God has accepted all the 3 issues that you have raised in this letter. I didn't understand what it meant. So I contacted my friend, who is, I'm sure he will be among the crowd here. He explained to me, because he too was involved with me, he raised 3 issues, that my friend, and he had told me about these issues long before I saw the dream. And when we discussed, we realized that it was God who had